This is Gemara Baba Kama Daf Mem Tes. So the learning for this month, the month of Teves, has been generously sponsored by a close friend of Adav as in Schos Alias Neshama for Aryeh ben Ya'akov B'siyata D'Shemaya. The learning of the entire Chabura should bring Aryeh ben Ya'akov to a higher and higher place in Gan Eden Shalmaila, closer to the Kisei Yakavod as he's Nene Meziv Ashchina. We pick it up from the bottom of Memches Amid Beis at the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Shar Shayim Miskavin L'Chaveiro Vikas Isha. This is a shar that intended to kill its friend. And what happened? Vikas Isha, and by mistake hit a woman. And what happened? V'yatza Yiladeh. She miscarried. Pater midmei v'ladis. She does not have to pay for the price of the v'ladis. Continues the Mishnah in a similar vein. He wanted to kill, hit person A, and he hit a woman B. And again she miscarried. Both cases, there's an obligation to pay for the demei v'ladis. Asks the Mishnah, how do you evaluate? How do you evaluate the price of a velad? Says the Mishnah, Shamanas Isha, we evaluate the woman. Kama hi yafe ad shlo yalda. How much was she worth before she gave birth? The kama yafe mishiyalda. And the difference is the value of the veladis. Amar Rashbag says Rav Shimon Gamliel. As we move over to Memtes Amar Aleph, Imkain asks Rashbag, Sheisha yoledes mishabeches. When a woman gives birth, she goes up in value. And Rashi quickly on the top line jumps in and says, hold on. The Gemara is going to explain at length what exactly this means. Ella, Rav Shimon Gamliel disagrees and says, Shamanes v'ladais kamehin yafim and naisein lebal, and they give it to the husband. Vim in labal, she doesn't have a husband, I see the Yarshav. She was a maidservant and she was freed. Meaning 2 categories of people that do not have any relatives. Then Potter, if one damages them, he is Potter. Says the Gemara, let's go into the first case of the shar that's miskavin the chaveiroi, and it was nagach and isha. Says the Gemara, time of the miskavin the chaveiroi. The case in the ratio was the shar was miskavin for one person, then hit this woman and caused her to miscarry. Says the Gemara, time of the miskavin the chaveiroi. Ha miskavin leisha. Let's say she had in mind for the woman. Mishalim demei v'ladais. Then the owner pays the value of the v'ladais. Mishalim demei v'ladais. Again, in the Mishnah it said you do not pay the demei. Excuse me, you pay the demei v'ladais if you're miskavin for one and you hikas isha. So says the Gemara, miskavin leisha, then mishalim demei v'ladais. You have to pay the demei v'ladais. Again, I'm sorry. The Mishnah gave 2 cases. Apologize, we weren't clear. The Mishnah began that said miskavin l'chaveira vikas isha pater. Adam that's miskavin mishalim chayiv. Says the Gemara, being medayik, the first case, the only time you're pater is if it's miskavin l'chaveira vikas isha. The clear implication is what? If you're miskavin l'isha, then you yes pay the dmei v'lades. And on that detail, if that is an accurate Diok, says the Gemara, Leima tiave tiyofta, the Ravada Barava. This is a kasha on Ravada Barava, Dam Ravada Barava. Shvarim sheniskavnu leisha pturim mitvein v'ladais. So it's a kasha Ravada Barava, because he says that if they're miskavein leisha, they're pater, meaning not only in the case where it's miskavein for one and you hit the other, but even if you're straight miskavein, you're still pater, says Ravada Barava. So our Mishnah seemingly is a kasha on that. Amar lecha Ravada Barava, he responds, Huadin, Davilun miskavein leisha, nami paturim in the meveladas. Really, you're still pater. So why did the Mishnah on the Reisha say ve'hadik atani sharshayim miskavein lechaveiroi? The Mishnah spoke about a case that it is miskavein lechaveiroi. Why, if not for the diak? Says the Gemara, 6 lines from the white lines. I the Kabbalah missed a Seifa. Because I wanted to say in the Seifa, Adam Shemis Kam the Chaveiroi. Dachik Siv Kara. So therefore, because that's the pasuk. But you cannot be medayek from that case at all. Finishing off part A of today's Shir, Amar Rabba says Rabba, Shar Shenagis Shivcha v'yatzu yaladeha. The Shar gored a maid servant and the Vlad is lost. Shalom Tvei Vlad is my taima. Chumrasa me'avrasa ba'almu. Says the Gemara, cause chamarta ma'abarta ba'almu. Because the ox is damaging the shivcha is similar to damaging an animal. Who dazik? Why? Because the Amar Cross says the Torah shulach abayim achamar am adayim lachamar, and therefore there will be no patur in this case. And we continue on the first wide line, quoting the Mishnah. Says the Gemara mishalem demei v'lados, and the Mishnah explained Ketzad. How do you evaluate the demei v'lados? Says the Gemara, demei v'lados. Why does the Mishnah say you evaluate the demei, the value of the vlados? Shevach vlados mi bayilei. It should have said the appreciation that the woman undergoes via the vlad. Answers the Gemara, hachanami kamer. It's true, that is what the Mishnah meant. Kate said, mishalim demei vlados v'shevach vlados. How do you evaluate the demei, the value, and the appreciation? That's gufa what the Mishnah meant to hone in on. It continues the Gemara on the fourth white line, quoting Rav Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnah. After the birth, she goes up. My Kamar says, what does Rav Shbag mean? Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Is a woman more mishubeches? Is she greater before she gives birth than after she gives birth? But rather, a woman is more value after she gives birth than before she gives birth. So what is going on over here? And explains the Gemara, the simple reason is, explains Rashi, because let's be honest, a pregnant woman is more of a liability. A non-pregnant woman is less of a danger. So says the Gemara, L'shamin es avladois v'noistin lebal, and that's what you pay. Tanami hachi, the Gemara brings a right to Rashbav, Chayisha Mishabechas Kodesh Sheteli Yosef Meshachas Sheteleid. Well, Chayisha Mishabechas Lachas Sheteli Yosef Kodesh Sheteleid. Ella says the Braisa, Shamin es avladois v'noisenes lebal. You evaluate the avladois and you give it to the husband. Rava has a different Mishnah than Rav Shimon Gamliel. Rava Amar, Hachikatani, this is what the Mishnah is teaching us, the sheet of Rashbag. Isha, lemisha yaledes mishabeches, vein la'atzma b'shevach. V'loda is klom, I don't understand. Does she gain only for her husband, whom is the father of the child, but she doesn't gain of herself through the child? What do you mean? She's gaining through the Vlad just like her husband gains through the Vlad. Ella shamanes of Vladais, the noisnin labal. Rather, we assess the Vladais and we give it to the husband. The shevach of Vladais cholkin. We evaluate the Vladais and we give it to the husband. And the shevach, the appreciation, that is divided both by husband and wife. Why? Because indeed, both of them, of course, gain by having such a child. Now, on this second teretz of Rava, Tanya Nami Hachi, you have a raya to this as well. Amar Rav Shimon Gamliel, we begin by quoting the line of Rashbag. Chayisha, lemisha yoledz v'shabechas v'natzim v'shabechas v'lodos klom. Ella says the Braisa, Shamanez b'fnei atzmai v'sar b'fnei atzmai v'shamanez avladais v'nois l'bal v'shavach v'ladais cholkin. So that is exactly how Rava explained. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Kasha de Rashbag ad Rashbag. what's going on over here? We have a stira in Rav Shimon Gamliel. Why? Because over here, Rav Shimon Gamliel says straight up that we split the shevach between husband and wife. Whereas in our Mishnah, Rav Shimon Gamliel didn't say anything. And Rava just explained that's the din, but Rav Shimon Gamliel didn't say that. Explains the first brisa, it is the me'akeres, it is the bachar. The second brisa, it is not the bachar, and therefore, when does Rav Shimon Gamliel hold that the woman's value goes down after birth is only by the first birth, but after that, it does not. So that's the shita of Rav Shimon Gamliel. Now continues the Gemara about 20 lines to the bottom. The first one is the Rashbag, the Rabbanon. According to the Rabbanon, the Amri, that they say, Shevach v'lada is nami labal. The Rabbanon who say that depreciation also goes to the husband, that you don't split it. My time, where do they get that from? Kedetanya, to the Nami, Masha Shenemar. For the fact that the Pasuk says V'yatzi Yoladeo, Pasuk says they hit the woman and she miscarries, the lad goes out. Do I not know that the woman is pregnant? Why does the Pasuk also say she's pregnant? The appreciation of the pregnancy that goes to the husband. The pregnant, the Vahara teaches in the Pasuk that depreciation goes through to the husband that which he lost through the miscarriage. Rav Shimon Gamliel, what does he do? Rav Lazvin Ya'akov says Rav Lazvin Ya'akov, one is not chayiv to pay for hitting the woman and causing the loss of the offspring. The vlad is only sheyakena. If he hits her beisi rayoin opposite the room, meaning stop hitting the woman and causing a miscarriage, is not going to be one chayiv, says Rav Shimon Elazar ben Yaakov. Only if you hit her in that area. Says the Gemara, Amra Papa, let's go drop deeper. Loi tema kineged beisi rayoin mamish. Rather, anywhere it hits the child, meaning anywhere in the lower torso area of the woman. Lafuke, if you hit the woman in the arm or the leg, then it would not create such an obligation. Continues the Gemara, quoting the Mishnah, or about 10 lines from the bottom of Mentasam and Aleph at the two dots. Says Rabba, in all these cases, the cases in which she was damaged in lifetime of the ger, the kim the chava b'chayi ger, zachbu ger, the kim the meisa ger, zachbu mina ger, then she is zaycha, zachabehu min hager, then not she, then the one that damaged her is zaycha from the ger. Aval chavel bal achar misas hager. Let's say the damage is after the ger died. Then she is zaycha into it onto herself. And therefore, and therefore he's going to have to pay her straight. Who's the master of this teaching? Are Vladais bundles of money? What's going on over there? How can you have a zechos in the Vlad when the husband dies? Just like you're kind of hefker, how does this work? Ella, rather, says Rav Chisda, Isi Labal Zachalei Rachmana, Lese Labal, Loi, that if the husband is alive, then the Torah gives him the money. If not, it does not go to him. So 4 lines from the bottom, continues the Gemara, Meisvei, and again, this is a kasha on the opinion of a Rabbah that said the din in the Mishnah is only if it was Chavaba B'chaye Hager. Meisvei asked the Gemara, it says in Abraisa, Haka say Isha v'yatzi yoladeo. No, say Nesek v'tzar li'isha to me v'lada is libal. Ein habal, there's no husband knows to the yar, she gives to the inheritors. Ein Isha knows to the yar sheho. I said Shevcha v'nishtach ro'igi ayres. Zacha, then she is Zaycha, then she gets it straight. So what do we see over here? So ask the Gemara that we see that Zacha, we see that when one kills the Vlad even after the ger is nifter, he's still potter. Not like Rabbah said. Rabbah's whole din was only if it's prior. Answers the Gemara. Amri umia difa mimastisan. What's your kasha? Is this brisa any greater than the Mishnah? To kimna shechavel ba b'chaya ger umeisa ger hachanami shechavel ba b'chaya ger umeisa ger. We'll interpret the brisa the same way that we did the Mishnah of Yibayim another Taras Lachar Misagar. I'll tell you really, it's Lachar Misagar as we turn over to Memtas Amid Beis. Utani, and what do we have to add the word into the Brisa is Zascha. The case is in which she, the wife of the Ger, was Zaycha. And we continue now on the top line of Memtas Amid Beis, which the Gemara now is going to suggest that we had a machlaik as Rabba and Rav Chisda. So in classical form suggests the Gemara, Leima Kitanoi. Let's say that Rabba and Rav Chisda are in reality a machlaik as Tanoim. Bas, he says the Braisa, Bas Yisrael, Shenisis Liger, for Bas Yisrael is Nisis Liger. Bas Yisrael, Shenisis Liger, Vinis Abram Imenu, and this girl becomes pregnant from the ger, and someone hits her while the ger is alive and she miscarries. No, you say you have to pay to the ger. Then Tani Chada Chayiv, Tani Chada Potter. My love that the machlokes of these braysos, my love Tanoi Ninu. It's machlokes Tanoim is the same machlokes Rabba and Rav Chisda. Says the Gemara le Rabba Vade Tanoi. According to Rabba, it's true. You have to say it's machlokes Tanoim al Rav Chisda. Mi lema Tanoi. Do we really have to say it's machlokes Tanoim, or maybe we could say that they both work with Rav Chisda? Says the Gemara like Kasha. Harabanan, Harashba, going back to Shimon Gamliel in our Mishnah, who says it generally does go to the woman, and therefore even if the husband, the ger was nifter, still he has to pay. Ask the Gemara 1 second, 6 lines down here. Rashbag Mari Lachar Misa, Afilu Mechayim Nami, even while he's alive, Islay Palga, the halacha is that she receives half. Says the Gemara, Mechayim Islay Palga, that's true. But Lachar Misa, Kula. Teretz number 1, to explain how the two brises could work. Continues the Gemara, Teretz number 2, Viba Yisema, Ha V'ha Rashbag. I'll tell you that both brises are really the opinion of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. Kan b'shvach v'ladais and kan b'demei v'ladais. Going back to what we spoke about in Amud Aleph, that's going to be the chilek, whether we're talking about the shvach v'ladais, the appreciation of the woman through the vlad, or are we talking about the demei, the vlad itself? Says the Gemara, Kasha back on both. Amri, they said, Mishevach v'ladais lishma, demei v'ladais. Why do we have to say both? From the din of Shevach v'ladais, of the woman, we can understand the din of demei v'ladais. And for the din of Rashbag, we can know the Rabbanan. So Amri, they answer, Loi, Shevach v'ladais ha'sheichi yada begavayu. The Shevach v'ladais, where she gets a benefit, therefore, according to Shimon Gamliel, she gets half, Zachibu Kulai. Then we could say that according to Shimon Gamliel, she'll get the whole thing. We continue. Once we're on the topic of the case of a ger that dies or what happens to his estate, we take a little bit of we'll call it a left turn for the one last part of today's daf in discussing the cases of the nechasim of a ger who dies and doesn't have any relatives. So, if someone is a machzik, if someone takes hold of the documents of a ger who is nifter without any yarshim, what is the halacha? Does he require the ownership or not? Do we say that by taking hold of the document, it's it's as if he took hold of the land? But he didn't. And therefore, he's not going to acquire the land because he didn't do a chazaka on the karka. Ushtara nami lokanya. Why not? The lav daita ashtar. You didn't actually have das just to get the kinyan on the star itself. Oidelma, no, daitinami ashtar, and therefore he'll get the star. So fundamentally, since he's not able to get the karka, does he get the star or not? Amar later, Nachman responds, Ane Mairi. Answer me, master. What's the whole shaila you're asking? Whether he gets ownership of the star, for what reason would he need ownership of the star? For what? Just to wrap it over the mouth of a flask? Amar le, yes, latzur, villa tzur. And we conclude today's share. We're going to stop at the Mishnah. Amar Rabba. Mashkoinai shall Yisrael bi'ad geru, me'segeru ba Yisrael acher v'chzik ba. Similar case. Reuven has a mashkin in the hands of the ger. And then the ger is nifter. Another Jew comes along and takes possession of this mashkin. We take it away from him and we give it back to the original owner. My timer, says the Gemara. Came with the mislay ger, once the ger is nifter, the shibud disappears, and therefore it goes back to the original owner. Continues the Braisa, Mashkin shall ger bi'adi Yisrael. Without the flip side case, if a yid is holding the mashkin, the collateral of a ger, who makes the ger and the ger dies, by Yisrael achar v'echsik ba, zeh v'echsik ba, and he makes a chazak on it, zeh kana kenegda me'aisav. This one acquires the lender who originally had the mashkin, gets the money corresponding to the mashkin. V'zeh kana ashar, meaning he lent him $1,000 and he gave him a mashkin worth $2,000. So the original lender gets $1,000 from the mashkin, and the guy who came and grabbed it, he gets the other $1,000. Ask Gemara V'amai, why is this true? Let the original lender who had this mashkin originally, the moment the ger dies, his chatzar should be kainet. So the moment the ger dies, his chatzar should be kainet. Amri, they answer, the case is talking about where the owner, the lender, is not there. Therefore, he's not there. Kol heicha deisei Lididei di by magni matzi kakani le nami chatzeiroi. Kolecha the last lidei di by magni loy matzi kani chatzeir nami loy kanye. If you're not there, therefore your chatzer can't make a kinyan for you. And the elchasa, what is the halacha? The lesser b'chatzeiroi to loy kana. The halacha is when the lesser b'chatzeiroi, it only applies in a case where it's not actually in the chatzer, and that's why the loy kani. And we'll pick it up from the Mishnah b'siyata dishmaya.